Hello, my name is Pat Mouye, and I'm the Study Abroad Coordinator at UL Lafayette. And we're so happy that you've joined us in listening to this session about our study abroad programs. And we are going to be talking about our programs in the summer of 2022. But our focus for most of this session is going to be on a brand new program that we are so excited will be a part of our opportunities for US students here at UL. And that is a program in Tokyo, Japan. So what I'd like to do is to begin with, I would like for our faculty who have brought this program to us to introduce themselves and share a little bit about themselves, how long they've been with the university, and also their international experiences. So Professor Marshall, if you don't mind beginning.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Professor Marshall. I've been at UL for about 3 years now. I'm starting my fourth. I love it at Lafayette. I've lived abroad in 2 different countries. China for about 3.5 years, where I taught at a university there in English. And prior to that, I spent about 3 years in Japan, where I taught English for a year and did video work and camera work as well. So I've lived abroad a lot and done a lot of traveling when I was there, because it's a great place to start off and explore Southeast Asia with that. So
Awesome, thank you. And Dr. Gonzalez, if you could share information about yourself.
Sure. I'm Dr. Randy Gonzalez. I'm an English professor, and I've lived abroad for about 15 years between Japan, Korea, and the United Arab Emirates. And I decided to come back to the United States, get my PhD, and I started a job at UL about 7 years ago after I got my PhD. So I'm excited about this trip to Japan. It's been about 30 years since I've been there, so it's been a while, but I'm really excited to teach a course in Japan.
Awesome, thank you so much. So what I'm going to do now, oh yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to make sure that I mentioned I'm part of the Moving Image Arts program.
Oh yes.
Which is in the English department, but we are a program that focuses on films, narrative storytelling, documentary, and things like that. We're a small program.
Awesome. And Dr. Gonzalez, you're also in the English department as well. I don't know if you mentioned it, but we'll make sure they, okay, awesome. And we're going to get into your courses in a little bit, so you'll be able to share more about that. But thank you so much, Professor Marshall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen and just share with you a little bit about the programs and where study abroad falls into at the university. So just bear with me while I spend some time trying to get the screen shared. All right. Oops. Okay, so as I mentioned, I am a part of the UL Lafayette Study Abroad programs, and we are located in the Student Union within the Division of Global Engagement. That particular office oversees a lot of things that are focused on international ideas, students, that type of thing. And we have been in the union, I think, since the union was built, I'm sorry. We do have 6 faculty-led programs that we currently work with. 4 of them have been our traditional programs for many years. We have a program in Costa Rica that is a 10-day program that takes place in the summer intersession. And then our other programs, the other 5, do begin in May, which is the summer intersession, but they continue into the summer session because of the lengths of the programs. So those 5 are considered summer programs each year. We have our program in London, England, which is a total of 3 weeks. It's 1 week here in Lafayette where you meet with the professors, and then 2 weeks where you spend time in London with them. Then we've got our Paris, France program and Florence, Italy program that are 6 weeks in length. It usually begins in mid-May and tends to end at the end of June or early July. I would like to emphasize that the UL France program is our flagship program that began way back in the 80s. So it has been with us for quite some time. And then, of course, we are so excited to share with you that we have 2 new programs that are going to be a part of what we offer to our students. And that is the Tokyo, Japan program, which is what we're going to be discussing more in this particular session. And that is a 3-week program, 1 week here in Lafayette, where you'll be meeting with the professors based on when they select to meet with you for your classes, and then 2 weeks in Japan. And then we have a program in Rabat, Morocco, which is going to be 4 weeks in Rabat and in Morocco. And we're going to have a session about all of these programs. They are going to be located on our website. As I mentioned, we're so excited to introduce that we do have these 2 new programs. And what's so exciting about it is that we have faculty from our campus community. And the faculty also from both of these programs came from the College of Liberal Arts. But we're so happy that they approached the Study Abroad office to introduce these programs to our campus community. We couldn't have done it without the interest from our faculty members. This is just to give you an idea of what the program will be about, when it's going to take place. Right now, we don't have the absolute final cost of the program, but this gives you an idea about how much it will be. That information is in the process of being finalized. Once that is finalized, it will be posted in our cost and expenses area on our website. So as I mentioned, it is a 3-week program, and that you will be able to earn a total of 6 credit hours. And again, those courses are going to be discussed in just a few moments. You will be housed in hotels. And I am going to just share with you, please just read over these bullets, because I don't want to go into too much detail about the locations that they're going to be visiting, because that's going to be information that our faculty members are going to be sharing with you in just a minute. But you can take a moment just to kind of read over that information as well. So now I'm going to ask that our professors start sharing with you a little bit about their coursework and what it's going to entail. One of the first questions that I do want to ask is for our professors to share with you about, what will the courses entail? What will be some of the sites that the students might visit? Where will the classes take place? What might a typical day look like? And how should the students prepare for these types of excursions? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Since we're in line here, let's have Dr. Gonzalez speak first, if you don't mind, since his are the courses that are listed first. So Dr. Gonzalez, if you could share that information.
Sure. So the first course I'm going to teach is an English/humanities course, and we're going to focus on Japanese literature and film. So the goal of the course is to think about literature and words on the page and films, animations, and then walk in the same spaces that these books and films are set. So we'll read things like Strange Weather, a novel called Strange Weather in Tokyo, and we'll go see some of the places discussed in the novel. So the goal will be to kind of get a real life experience to put to the text and to the films that we're looking at. We'll watch animation and go to Shinjuku Central Park and see where it was set, so that we can then see what the park looks like and how it was transferred into animation and what the differences are. So we'll have 2 types of activities: tours, so they're kind of planned tours, and then excursions, where we're just going to particular places within the city. So for example, we'll read the novel Convenience Store Woman, and then we'll go to convenience stores. So I know you're not probably thinking, why am I going to Japan to go to a convenience store? But believe me, when you come back to the US after your trip, you'll talk more about that convenience store than you will Tokyo Tower. So that's the English course and the Japanese literature and film course. The anthropology course will focus on understanding culture. So we're going to start with a little book called Going Abroad, Traveling Like an Anthropologist. So to think about how to see the world through an anthropologist. In this regard, I don't want you to be a tourist. I want you to think about culture as we're there, to think and explore Japan through a visual lens and think about society and cultural activity, and not just go as a naive tourist. So we're trying to have you think about what it means to be an anthropologist and to see culture and to experience culture. So we're going to learn about the culture of Japan. So we might go to that same convenience store, but we're going to read an ethnography about convenience stores and see how convenience stores work and the labor provided in convenience stores. We'll read some ethnographies of coffee shops, and we'll go have some coffee. So these types of explorations will be related. Of course, we'll have sushi and ramen, and we'll read some ethnographies on food and food and identity, right? If we think about how we identify with food in Cajun land here, right? Or I'm from New Orleans, that's part of our culture. So we'll look at how food relates to identity and culture. The main thing to prepare yourself is be prepared to have your ideas challenged, right? That when you get to Japan, everything is not going to be as you expect. And that's kind of the fun part. That's where you should be excited. Your expectations will not be met by certain things, and certain things will surprise you, but that's what learning is about. So I think, just the only real preparation for a course like this or traveling like this in a safe space with the university is to just be ready to have yourself challenged by your expectations about Japan, about your own assumptions about culture, about your own assumptions about what's normal and what's supposed to be, because they will be challenged by just traveling to a foreign country. And that's kind of, I think, the fun part of a study abroad trip.
Awesome.
I hope that answers some of your questions.
It did. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. And I apologize. I think there was a little bit of delay in the video, but fortunately your audio was perfect. So the students are still going to be able to hear everything that you had to say about the courses. So we're good. We're good. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to be switching over back to the slide for the courses, but I am going to ask Professor Marshall to share information about his courses regarding what is it going to entail, what sites they might visit, typical day, those types of things. So if you can share that, Professor Marshall, and I'm going to switch over to sharing my screen again.
Okay, so I will be teaching two courses, Stories in the City, and that is in Moving Image Arts, 325, and cross-listed with Humanities and English. And I'll also be teaching Cultural and Criticism through Japanese Cinema, and that is English 275 and Humanities 200, and cross-listed. And these are really learning about how films capture the essence of a location, how they express what's important about that location. So, for example, with Stories in the City, we're going to be watching films that are about Tokyo, but also about films that are about documenting location. Some of these will be documenting other cities, but the ones that we focus on Tokyo will be looking at how they approach Tokyo and how they blur the lines about whether more of a tourist perspective or more of a cultural engagement, and seeing how they interact. And we'll also be looking at Japanese films that present the culture and the city. And we'll do things like watch Tokyo Story by a great director named Ozu, and look at traditional experiences like a tea ceremony and kabuki, and see how these traditional representations of drama and kabuki and these traditions of tea ceremony, the kind of formalism, formal aspects of it, are mirrored in the cinema, in the films that we watch, and how they go beyond just the spectacle of location, but try to express the importance of the location and what is unique about the location. So that's going to be Stories in the City. And in it, in this class, we're going to be watching these films, but you're also going to be going out and filming your own projects with your cell phones and editing on your cell phones. You don't need high-tech cameras. You don't need fancy computers to edit with. We'll be working with apps and things like that to capture these spaces that we're going to be exploring. And so we're going to meet in class in Lafayette to watch these films and discuss them. And then once we're in Tokyo, we're going to spend time exploring the city, looking at different neighborhoods, looking at different locations, different buildings and institutions, and how you can try and capture that through the language of film and narrative cinema and documentary. So if you like making films and documentaries, that's a really good choice to get into. And then the other class, cultural criticism through Japanese cinema, we're going to be watching films and seeing how they express an opinion about certain aspects of culture within Japan, what they're saying about the culture. So we're going to watch a film such as Tampopo, which is a film about ramen and how food is really important to a culture. And as Randy said, there's a lot of identity in there. And the film itself sets up certain ideas and concepts and expresses them through the way we interact with food. And we're going to do things like make our own ramen and see what the process is like and see how that's important to the culture and how that is expressed in the film. And so we'll be watching movies and analyzing that. And really, the best way to prepare is to, one, be ready for unusual experiences, and because there's going to be a lot of new things, a lot of really exciting things, and leaving a lot of your assumptions behind in Lafayette, getting ready for any possibility, and also wear comfortable shoes because you'll probably do a lot of walking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Professor Marshall. So now I'm going to go back to Dr. Gonzalez and just ask that you share with the students, what should they be prepared for in relation to the assignments? How are things going to be graded? We want to give them a good feel of what is going to be expected of them in the coursework. So Dr. Gonzalez, if you could share that, please. Oh, I think you are on mute right now. I do that too. I always forget to take myself off of mute.
Here we go.
Awesome.
So for both of my courses, you'll need a notebook, right? So we're gonna, as an anthropologist, you're gonna be taking field notes, right? Observing culture and taking notes. And as an English, student here, or a literature student and film student, you're gonna be thinking about description. So we'll be describing places. So the process, the main activity while we're there and in different spaces is to note what's happening and document, right? So both of the courses are project-based courses. For the English course, it'll be a creative project. So thinking about, we'll talk about haiku while we're in Lafayette, and maybe you can write haiku while we're sitting in the park, right? So, or maybe if you're a graphic artist, you want to do cartoons. So we'll talk about making simple cartoons. So maybe you could do little simple drawings while you're in the park. So the goal will be, for the English side, will be to focus on the creative aspects and how does Tokyo inspire your creativity. And this can take many forms. For the anthropology, we'll have a notebook as well, but we want to document observations. So one of the primary goals of an anthropologist when going into different spaces is just to observe, right? To observe and to document in a notebook what they see. So that will be your job, to observe and document. In the end, when we come back, you'll have some time to put a project together. So you'll put your notes into a readable format and write an essay that kind of reflects on your relationship to Tokyo as an anthropologist. And then as a creative as a writer, in the creative response for the English courses, you'll put together a creative portfolio of your time in Tokyo. So there will be no exams. It's all project-based.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. And Professor Marshall, if you could share with them about what they should expect regarding assignments, grading, those types of things.
Okay, so like I mentioned in the introduction, the classes are going to be a lot of project-based as well. The stories in the city, you're going to be making short pieces documenting neighborhoods. After we get back, we can compile that into one piece that kind of captures the experience as much as we can of your time in Tokyo. But it's not necessarily about looking as a tourist, but as more exploring what the city is through visual language, through camera work. And we'll talk about all that in class. So the grading in that is going to be about creativity, structure, and putting it all together, how it works as a piece, and creating the narrative that you put together through the images. And we're going to go through all those elements in class that you need to know. For the cultural criticism through cinema course, you'll be given a selection of films to choose from as a final project, and you'll look at them and the cultural elements that we're discussing. And while you're in Japan, I want you to look for elements that represent that and look at how the film portrays those elements. And you'll be writing a final essay about that, a short essay. There'll be no quizzes, and there'll be some short responses regarding the films that we watch in class.
Awesome. Cool deal. And, and one thing I'm going to ask of, and either one of you could answer this, because it is a shorter program, it's, 1 week here, 2 weeks there, the students do need to be prepared that it is continuous, right? That there's going to be little downtime. They might be able to do a little bit of stuff on their own, but for the most part, they're going to be going. Am I correct in sharing that?
There's going to be one weekend where we have nothing planned, right? And so we have one tour planned for one weekend. So there'll be a little bit of downtime,
Okay.
but we do have tours and activities planned. And even for my group, like when we're doing the exposure activities, like going to a convenience store, it might not be with me. They can go on their own and explore those things, but there will be, working in some regard as students. They'll be exploring as students and being asked to, document their experience. So they will have some freedom to go about on their own, because that's kind of the goal. We might say, let's go explore neighborhoods, and we might go together, but they might go off in different directions, right? And I think that's part of the fun, is to, not follow what I see or I say, but to find it on their own. So there will be, I don't know if we're going to call that downtime, but it'll be individual or group time to explore on their own.
Awesome. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Because it's important for them to know that information. So I always like to make sure that it's clear for our students.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, I am going to return to my screen, my sharing of screen, shall I say. And I think in the next few slides, I just wanted to put some pictures up so they could see, some of the experiences that they would have, while there. I don't know if y'all want to comment on any of this, but that's, left up to y'all. But it's just to kind of give them an idea of, I was kind of curious about this. It's called a water boat. Is that correct here? I thought that was very interesting when I saw that photograph. So okay. I'm going to continue and share a little bit more about the office, and then we're going to have some final words from the professors if they want to share any. As I mentioned,
Pat,
oh yes,
Pat, if we could just go back to those images for a second. I thought we were in the second chat.
Absolutely.
So, right. So the water boat. Here we have some images of some various temples in Japan, and down there's the giant Buddha, which will be an optional trip, I believe, though the itinerary isn't necessarily locked down. So we'll get some time outside of Tokyo, which is really good to experience some of the other cities in Japan, because they're very different feels, atmospheres, depending on each city. So just wanted to mention.
Thank you. I'm glad that you did, because I need y'all to chime in since y'all have been there and I have not. So it's just valuable information that you can share with the students. So that's wonderful. And as I mentioned, I do work, as I said earlier, I'm in the study abroad office. And not only do I work with the faculty-led programs, but I do work with students in other capacities. We do work with students and faculty that want to have a student field experience, where it might be a program that a faculty member has decided to do, and it has incorporated it into a course that they're teaching here on campus. And those are usually short-term, 10 to 20 days. And then we also have opportunities for students to study abroad, either for a semester or a year abroad. And then we've recently become involved where we're assisting students with international internships as well. So this is just to give you an idea of what types of things are available, how we might be able to assist you. It is important that if you are considering any of this as a student, that you do check with our office, and we'll do our best to guide you through anything that you might need, and based on your interest here. I do want to mention that we are probably going to schedule some student alumni panel discussions in the fall, similar to what we're doing here with this recording, with this session with our faculty, but it will be with our students that have participated in our programs in prior years. We have done these in the past. We usually would do them in person, but this past year we actually did them virtually. So I may even do some where they're live, where students can attend it with us and then maybe record those, or just have a recording with our student alumni. I haven't decided yet, but I would ask that you pay attention to what's on our website. But it would be, valuable for you to hear, some of the information from our alumni that have participated in our programs in the past. So just know that we're going to have those types of discussions in the future. We also have a wonderful video that was created by a couple of our graduate assistants a few years ago. And you can't access it, I think, through the slide, but I wanted to place the slide in there so I would not forget to tell you. We are going to have this link available on our website. I'm going to make sure that it's clearly identified, but it is a YouTube video that they created with our student alumni. The grad assistants were the narrators, but then they got our students to participate in it. And they share their experiences of going abroad, and it's just really a phenomenal video that I really encourage you to watch. It's only about 4 minutes long, something like that. And then this is my contact information. I am located in the student union. As of us recording this session, we are still just meeting with students virtually. Things may change in the fall. We just don't know at this point in time, but you do have my contact information here, my phone number, my email address. But I also schedule virtual appointments with our students. So if you go to my website, the studyabroad.louisiana.edu, what you will find, there's an area in the right sidebar where you can schedule a virtual appointment with me so that we can have discussions and I can easily answer the questions for you. So that concludes our slideshow, our PowerPoint presentation. But I do want to, I'm going to put the professors on the spot. If there are any, final words that you want to share with them, words of wisdom, encouragement, excitement about what it is you're wanting to do, kind of the passion of all things of why you've decided you want to have this type of program. Would y'all like to share that information?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff, you go first.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
I think studying abroad trips like this are a great way to experience the world, to open your horizons. I did some study abroad when I was at university, and it was an amazing experience. And if you're interested in Japan, if you're interested in anime, fashion, food, any of those things, this is going to be a great chance for you to experience it firsthand. And so I really recommend going to Japan. If you're not coming on our program, I just recommend going to study abroad, because traveling is a great way to really open your eyes to the world around us and see what's happening.
Thank you.
I agree. I've studied abroad as well. I went to Spain for a summer and I couldn't get enough. So after I went to Japan, worked in Japan, went to Korea, went to the United Arab Emirates, and really each time the reason study abroad or going abroad is so important or so much fun is because you keep learning. You're always learning. You're learning about yourself. You're learning about the places around you. We often don't think we need to learn anything else about ourselves, but when we put ourselves in a foreign environment where we're the odd ones, we're the ones that are different, we realize all of the things that are just so normal and so many things that we assume about ourselves and about our environment that just aren't the case overseas. So I would recommend that that you come with us to Japan. It's a nice first safe space to go. You're going with the university. It's not like you're getting on a plane and going by yourself and having to figure things out. And we're not just taking you on tourist things, so you get to see a different side of Japan. If you go and you just go on a tour, there's they're promoting certain cultural activities. We want you to see more of real Japan that we can do in 2 weeks, right? So this is a good opportunity. And some of you might like it so much, you might decide to go teach in Japan when you graduate and join the JET program or some of these other great programs that are able to, to help you to have these great opportunities abroad. So I recommend it to everyone. if you haven't been abroad, this is a great way. And Asia really will challenge your sense of self and who you are culturally, in the sense of your understanding of your own culture, because it's quite different from what we're used to.
And
Awesome.
if I may say one more thing,
Oh,
if you are a
absolutely.
little intimidated about going abroad, if it's your first time, that's the best part about that. This is because we're there to help, and there'll be a lot of challenges, but we're there to help you ease your way into those in a lot of ways and experience them together with people who might be going through the same thing that you are.
And that's wonderful to say. That's the purpose of a faculty-led program, to help them gradually become a little more courageous. Dr. Gonzalez, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I also wanted to add, when I was listening to Professor Marshall talk about his courses, and we're all teaching some of the same material, but it's from a very different lens. So you'll be able to talk about some of the same. We'll look at Tokyo Story as well, but I'll be looking at it from a creative perspective, not from a film perspective necessarily, a storytelling perspective. And we'll be looking at anthropology. So you get a sense of how we could all look at the same thing, but in the liberal arts, we can see it differently from different perspectives, from an anthropological perspective, from a storytelling, creative writing perspective, to a film perspective. And I think that could be very interesting for you as well, to see how, if we can look at things from different disciplines. We could all stare at the same temple and be asked to think about it from a different perspective.
Awesome. Well, thank you. One thing I did forget to mention, I did want to tell the students that, or whoever's listening to our video, we are going to have orientation sessions prior to the departure, which is going to help you with your preparations. Both the office as well as our professors will be a part of those orientations, and they will take place in the spring. And we're going to cover just the whole gambit of things, from lodging, packing, communication with family and friends, currency exchange, debit, credit cards, all those types of things. So, we will help you in your preparations prior to departure through these orientation sessions. And those dates will be posted so that you'll know far in advance of when we will be meeting for the program. I do want to mention, naturally there's that elephant in the room that we have to talk about, and that's about COVID-19. We have been so unfortunate the last couple of years where the programs, our study abroad programs in the summer, have been canceled due to COVID-19. So we are crossing our fingers, praying, hoping that we will be able to go into summer of 2022. And we're moving forward as though we are, that, we have every intent of doing everything we can for these programs to go. But naturally, we have to keep in mind what is happening with COVID, where the university's stance is. We follow in accordance to the CDC regulations. And naturally, we will keep our students and our faculty posted on any decisions that we make. I do want you to know that we are going to be very conscientious about decisions that are made, especially when it comes to the financial matters of students. We want to make sure that that's a priority for us. We want you to have this experience, but we want to make sure that you can indeed have the experience without, encountering any kind of financial difficulties in the event things need to be canceled. All of that is going to be considered every step of the way. I'm really so appreciative that Professor Marshall and Dr. Gonzalez joined us for this session. And I agree with everything that they said. I'm thrilled that we have this new program in Tokyo, and I hope that you will be as well. So we're going to tell our students goodbye at this point in time, and definitely contact my office if you have any questions. Okay, thank you both to our two professors.
Bye.
Bye.